Going live. We need an intro like Joe Rogan's. What up, freak bitches?
Do like a theme song.
So we can arrange that.
What's like you need like a Joe Dirt soundbite or something.
Yeah!
Something mullet related.
MulletCast.
All right, whenever you're ready, gentlemen.
All right, hello and welcome back to the MulletCast. I am Evan Balmer.
Mike Marcia, how's everyone doing?
All right, today we are joined by Dennis O'Connor. Dennis is the founder and chief everything at Greenmount Insurance Consultants. You can check out Greenmount online at protectthecheck.com and on Instagram at protect_the_check. Dennis, what's going on?
How you doing, guys?
What's cooking? How's everything?
Very good.
So, tell us about the new company and what you were doing before, why it's different.
Yep. So Greenmount is meant to be a direct-to-consumer type thing where it's direct sales, but because what I do is really so specific, there's a lot of guys that do part of what I do as a general offering, but because I'm focused in what I do, going after people in person is kind of difficult just because my tool set, although it's the sharpest of that particular tool, is just that tool. So my thought was, especially considering our peer group, especially being like the Google it, or at least myself being like that, where it's if I want to learn about something or figure something out, I just look it up myself. Mm-hmm. Use that as a vehicle to appeal to people that are specifically looking for just what I'm doing.
Okay.
And that was the thought process there. It's actually, technologically speaking, the entire insurance industry as a whole is pathetically behind everyone else by like a ridiculous margin. So it's just trying to do my part to take everything into the 21st century or whatever century we're in.
Right.
Yeah.
Now you said insurance. So, what type?
I specialize in disability first and foremost, but then also life insurance and long-term care.
Awesome.
So that's where the Protect the Check comes in.
That is, the problem is naming it. I was going for like the Stratton Oakmont type name where it was like, it doesn't really have any relevance.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, I'm going to tie it into surfing somehow. So I went through like a laundry list of surf spots. And Greenmount is particularly a spot in Australia on what's called the Superbank. And I ended up between Greenmount and North Point. And I figured North Point was good, but a little bit too bland.
Yeah.
And Greenmount, like I just thought it sounded good. You got green, you got mountain, like that.
Yeah.
Except I made it Green Mount and not Green Mountain.
Okay.
Because the spot's Green Mountain, I just didn't even think about it. And everyone goes Green Mountain first.
Right.
So to make it a little easier and just a little bit more like ringy and easy to remember, I did Protect the Check because it's kind of what it is anyway.
Yeah.
And it's a lot simpler to remember.
Awesome.
So how does disability insurance work exactly?
So disability is, at its core, basically paycheck protection. If something happens to you, regardless of what it is, that prevents you from making an income, disability is meant to replace that loss of income until you either get back on your feet or if you're permanently disabled to keep you afloat up until what would be normal retirement age.
Okay. So you said that you're gearing this Greenmount Insurance Company towards younger demographics because it's going to be on the internet, right? For the most part.
Yeah, and then there's just a lot of people in our age range, and that doesn't necessarily limit us to our age.
Yeah,
range, but a lot of people, especially late 20s, early 30s, that are finally finding whatever it is they're going to be doing and really getting into more career type stuff as opposed to whatever your first job out of college is, unless it happens to be in the job you want. And there's just a lot more of an entrepreneurial aspect, more so now than I think previously. And so there's more of a need for it because you get a lot more sole proprietor type thing, or at least very small type thing where you are the entire machine yourself, not just a cog in the machine. So there's a lot more of a need for it in that particular audience.
Do you find yourself having to educate young people, why they would need disability insurance? Because I can imagine a couple of my single buddies living in Hoboken who like to travel.
I'm indestructible.
Yeah,
and specifically,
nothing's going to happen to me.
Your single buddies, I'm assuming most of them being male. That's the hardest one because guys in general are never going to get hurt or sick or injured or everything.
Yeah.
I personally do plenty of silly things and have hurt myself several times since I got the insurance. Not that I've missed work, but enough that I was like, all right, I enjoy myself quite a bit.
I think you put it at that one presentation you gave. You needed the insurance because you like to do stupid shit.
Yeah, I didn't know if we were allowed to say shit, but that's definitely my go-to.
But you just gotta throw. Where's the?
Oh, I'll be broke by the time this is over. I don't have enough money in my pocket for that. It's a problem. I have a 14-month-old, and he can't speak yet, but he's getting close, and I'm like, oh my God, I got to do something about this because
Yeah.
it's
Earmuffs.
unintentional at this point. I just do it without even thinking about it.
Right.
But yeah, I do dumb
show
shit,
you a
and
meme.
I'm probably gonna end up getting hurt doing it. So
Yeah. Awesome.
It is dangerous with kids because I'm the same way. I just, it's just second
Oh, it
nature.
rolls right
Let
off.
it fly. My daughter had a complete mastery. Like one day she was when she was being potty trained or whatever, right? So she'd get a marshmallow.
yep.
So, like that was the reward for going to the bathroom. So one day she goes to the bathroom, hops out, and blasts out, "Give me an effing marshmallow."
No way.
I actually would do that just on principle. Be like, all right, I don't want to reward this, but that was
Right.
contextually accurate. So
Right,
here
it
you go.
was-
You earned this.
It was really impressive. So you talked about the new generation. It's interesting because a lot of people are doing more than one thing these days. Like side hustle is really prevalent, right? Can you get that type of insurance for like multiple things that you do in your life?
Well, the way it kind of works is they're going to look at where your income is coming from.
Right.
And then based off of that, you fall into basically a category 1 through 6 in terms of how risky what you do is. I'm doing one today, and he's actually even below an A, but he's a longshoreman. That's not a particularly risk-averse occupation. But if you're a guy in an office all day and just sitting at a computer, chances are, both in what you do and what you need to do your job, you're a lot less risky. There's a lot less of a chance you're going to be out of work. If
Right.
you're a carpenter and you hurt your back and you can't lift stuff, you can't do your job. If you're at an office, you hurt your back, it's probably a pain in the butt to work and things like that, but it's a lot less likely it's going to keep you out of work. So
Right.
it's
Especially any sales role.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're driving around, if you're going to different appointments every day, you want to make sure you're that's your lifeline.
exactly.
Yeah.
Right. So you probably hate this question, but I'm sure it's the first thing everyone asks
No,
you.
go
It's
for
like,
it.
all right, what's it cost me to get? So how do you what should people expect? Like, the cost of
There's a lot of
protecting their interests?
factors, and it's not necessarily, you don't always need to have like the maximum amount of insurance you can get, and it depends on male, female, what age you are, what you do, all that. But generally speaking, you're looking between 1% and 5% of what you earn annually is what it costs. 5 being the ultimate higher end. You're talking somebody who's a older female is probably going to be a lot higher just because females don't run well. Age isn't your friend when it comes to this. I mean, being older age. Young male, it's going to be barely 1% of what you make.
Now, is it based off, like life insurance? You need to get a physical and blood work.
Yep, all that comes into
Okay.
play. And with disability, it's a little bit different just because there's so many ways you can get disabled that if you have health issues, they can decline you for it if it's really bad. But if you have, let's say, a bad back, which is a very common reason for a claim, they're not going to decline you, but they'll say, hey, listen, we'll cover you for everything except if your back is the reason you go out, because we know that's already a problem. But there's still a million other ways for you to be out of work.
So getting it before anything happens when you're young and
healthy is a
healthy
good
is
thing.
probably the best.
Absolutely. Young and healthy, and the price can change, but generally speaking, when you sell it, it's basically locked in.
Yeah.
So you get it when you're 27 years old, you're going to spend $1,000 a year on it forever, as opposed to if you got it at 45 years old and the same amount of coverage would be $2,500 to $3,000 a year, that kind of thing.
And it's also if you don't use it, you lose it, right? For disability,
Yeah, it's
it's a protection.
similar to like car insurance type thing, where
Okay.
it's there if you need it, and if not, then
It's
you
just
have
have
the
it.
peace of
It's
mind
good
type
to have
thing. Yeah. There's features that you can get a better chance to use it depending on which carriers and things like that.
Okay.
I would say the one that I happen to go with has a thing where if you get hurt but not disabled, they give you a particular benefit based on what you've got. So there's
Okay.
little features like that where you'll still get stuff even if you don't get disabled. But yeah,
Okay.
if you don't use
Awesome.
it, you just had the peace of mind and the protection the whole time.
I know I never thought of having it until I had my first.
Yeah.
And then Will Grunman, who we all know, who was, doing financial planning at the time, strongly recommended getting disability being in the mortgage industry.
Yep.
He's like, one snowy day, if you're driving to a closing and you slip
Right.
and, you dislocate your hip and you're out for 3 months or need something significant, how are you going to generate income?
Right.
So we structured it, to protect myself from that.
And that's the one that rings the most home is the catastrophic accident type
Yeah.
thing. But a lot of times it's just an illness or something random. I was talking to a guy yesterday, actually. He had a doctor that said no to it, and then the guy wanted to get some routine eye surgery, and he lost vision in his eye.
Wow.
Like
What?
it's all silly stuff, not silly stuff, but stuff that, and really depending on what you do, especially doctors,
Yeah.
it's stuff that other people wouldn't necessarily consider you disabled. But if you're a neurosurgeon and all of a sudden you develop a tremor, you can't do your job anymore. And you're
Yeah.
not disabled by any means, except you can't operate on someone's brain with a shaky hand, that
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Right.
So it's not always like the catastrophic type thing that you think of.
Yeah, that's true.
So is there a protection out there? Like if you're a neurosurgeon and suddenly I have that tremor, can you make up the gap for now I have to do something, less than a neurosurgeon? Is there
Yeah.
insurance that would pick up that?
And that's starting to really dig into it, but especially with doctors, but kind of a lot of jobs, they have a thing called own occupation when you go for it. And what that says is if you get disabled and can't do the job you're in currently when you get disabled,
Right.
but you can do something else, you can go do something else and you're still considered disabled. The
cool.
example I always use is I had a girl who was like a neonatologist, something along those lines, or OBGYN. She was delivering a baby. And in pulling it out, she tore, like if you grab your thumb and go like this, don't do it hard because it hurts, but there's like a tendon along here.
Right.
The result of which was she couldn't rotate her wrist this way,
Right.
but she couldn't do her job that way. So then she's considered totally disabled
Wow.
because she can't do her job anymore.
Right.
So she gets benefit now from now to 65, and she went back to school to become a medical malpractice lawyer because she had all the
that's
medical.
So you could get the max.
So she
Oh,
gets her
wow.
benefit plus she gets whatever she makes as a lawyer
Wow.
because
Wow.
she can't do the job she was in when she had the coverage.
Even if the new career that she's going pays more than
Yep.
what you. Oh,
Because she still can't do the occupation she had in that.
wow.
Yeah, that's why it's
Could she
such a
open up
buzzword.
a second disability? I'm getting technical now, but if she were to go a different career route, like this situation, could she open up a second disability?
Yes, but I
Okay.
think you'd run into trouble with the fact that she's already on claim. Like
Okay.
from an underwriting perspective, technically speaking, sure, there's a different occupation to protect,
Yeah.
but because of the way her income is coming in, and specifically because a lot of it's unearned,
Yeah.
she wouldn't ever actually get through
Okay.
underwriting because they'd see that and be like, hey, sorry, we can't insure you because you
Yeah.
already have X amount. Plus this, you'd be overinsured.
Awesome.
Because their problem is,
Makes
and that
sense.
happens a lot with a lot of times real estate guys, things like that have rental properties that technically is unearned income. You just own the property. If
Yeah.
you get disabled and can't do your job, that rental property money's still most likely going to come in.
Okay.
So in their mind, they have to kind of offset against that because otherwise, if you just decided not to work anymore and could come up with a reason, kind of like a more mental nervous type thing where you can't really prove that someone actually has the problem or
Yeah.
doesn't, then they're overinsured because there's no reason for them to go back to work. They
Yeah.
got their rental income, they got the disability income, they're making 25 grand a month, and they're like, all right, I'm good.
Yeah. Now, does mental illness fall in the disability realm?
Yes, that is a carrier to carrier thing. Some of them do 2 years.
Okay.
So mental nervous being any sort of like depression, things like that,
Okay.
or substance abuse. Some of them go all the way to retirement age or whatever the policy
Oh,
is.
really?
Yeah. There was one that we had, it was like a case study type thing. Guy was a lawyer and his son died.
Okay.
And it just totally threw him for a loop. Couldn't do anything. And that was a claim.
Okay. And is it? I'm guessing as more science comes out regarding mental health, policies are changing. Companies
Yeah,
are
and they'll-
widen the range.
Typical, the biggest one we see is like when you're going through underwriting, someone takes Adderall, for example. That's a really common one. They'll just exclude mental nervous coverage because they're like, all right, listen, you got something going on already. We're not going to cover you for this.
Okay.
Cool. I think it's interesting that you were able to combine insurance with one of your passions. So I had no clue that Green Mountain was actually named after a surfing spot.
Yeah.
So you're like,
Pretty
sweet.
sweet.
I can make a T-shirt for my insurance company.
I find way too many ways to incorporate that into stuff. My son's name is Finn.
Oh, really?
All that stuff.
No
Oh,
way.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's cool.
The
So is
logo
it-
is going to be sweet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. So surfing is a passion. You actually have a board company called Froth Factory,
Yep.
which is also on Instagram at Froth Factory. So tell us about how you got into surfing and the birth of Froth Factory.
So I got to be honest, I don't know what the first spark was with surfing. I'm still not a beach person.
Right.
I hate going to the beach more than anything on the planet. Love going surfing.
Right.
Summertime hits, I can't be further away from the beach if I tried. I hate the sun. I hate heat. I hate people. There's nothing about the beach I like. But surfing's the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. At least recreationally.
Right.
Started getting into it and just got bit by the bug and loved it. And then
How old were you?
like 16.
Okay.
So I went a couple times before I got my license, and I got my license, and we just went all the time. And we were awful. It's just really fun to progress. And there's so many factors that have to go right for you to even do it that it's kind of special every time type thing. And you can't practice the way you do anything else. So you're always improving, but it's always like a difficult improvement. And when you get something, it just feels that much better because you work on something for forever.
Sure.
I'm a total gear addict in anything I do. All of my hobbies, I just like stuff a lot. And particularly with surfing, it's always been surfboards. And so there's a place in Manasquan called Greenlight Surf Supply.
Right.
And they kind of give you all the tools to make your own boards. And they're
that's
actually,
cool.
they're around so that the local board builders in the area have a resource that's here as opposed to California. Enormously helpful on the shipping costs, all that, because you got big pieces of foam. They're really very gentle.
Right.
You have to be with them.
Right.
So the shipping on them's insane. But I just was like, yeah, I'm going to try doing this. And I did it the first time in California because I was out there for 4 years.
Right.
It was super fun. The board was awful. I literally call it the Big Ugly. I still have it. It's like uneven. It's a mess. But it was awesome. And then riding something you made was super cool. So when I came back here, and especially when I was looking for a house, one of my like prerequisites in a house, all three I wanted was a shed in the backyard, specifically for doing this, a basement I could try and play music in, and then like just a sweet backyard. And I got 2 out of 3. My house doesn't have a basement floor to it, but got the shed and was like, all right, I'm gonna just try this, and fitted it out to make boards in it and started going for it. And
That's awesome.
it worked out pretty good. There's a definitely a learning curve, and by no means are my boards exceptional by any means, but they work. And it's cool now because at this point, all of my friends have boards and things like that I've made. And there'll be days where we go out and literally everyone's riding a board that I made or that we made together.
That's
cool.
And they get good waves on it. They get whatever they want. My one friend genuinely only rides the board we made over anything else, and it's awesome because he's every time he's psyched, I'm like, I helped with that. I was part of that excitement.
That's great.
So it's really cool.
You're we spoke 2 weeks ago about I have 2 boards. Now I've got 2 boys, so I'm like, you know what, I want to get a board that I'm not in shape, I'm not agile anymore. I want a long board that I could just kind of stand on and bring a kid on. And I have a short board that I used to use when I was younger in high school and middle school. And you said that the boards now have changed from a decade and a half ago.
Yeah, from a design philosophy, they've gone from like long and skinny, kind of short
Which
and fat.
Mine is
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're probably talking about a board that's 6'2", 6'3", 18 and maybe a half wide, and then 2 1/4 thick. Now you have that same amount of volume in terms of like the displacement of water that floats you.
Yeah.
But that same board will be 5 inches shorter and then just wider and thicker because you don't need all that length, especially in smaller stuff.
Yeah.
It's just the curve and the length of the board doesn't fit the amount of curve and size in the wave.
Okay.
There's a lot that goes into it. It's pretty fun to figure out, especially when you're on the. I know what the feeling is that I'm looking for from a sense that I've done it enough that I know the way it's supposed to go, and then what the waves are doing and what I want out of it, and then trying to figure out what design aspects are going to make me what I want for this particular condition. So it's fun trying to figure it out.
Awesome.
And some are total dogs, and some work really well, and you're like, all right, this is awesome.
That's great. Have you taken Finn out?
Not yet, but I'm probably going to. I mean, he's still really young. He's 14, 15 months old, but probably still going to anyway.
Yeah.
Throw him on my shoulders and be like, all right, we're figuring this out.
Yeah.
Don't drown.
I envy the Instagram accounts where there's dads taking their kids out and they're like 2 years old.
Yeah, when
like,
you start to look
that's
back at
awesome.
those, you're like, all right, they're like 2, 3. There's a really big difference between 2 and 3 years
Big
old
difference.
and like 14 months.
Right.
But
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah,
all
yeah.
right, let's get him started early. I get in the pool standing on boards and stuff all the time, just like push him around on one because he likes the water. He gets nervous still when his face goes under. He doesn't really understand how to like hold his breath or blow bubbles. He just puts his face in and just like opens his mouth.
Right.
I'm like, don't do that. But he's getting there.
So are you always making a board, or is it just like a per project, like if someone's got something on order?
It depends on how excited I am. The problem is now, like, Froth Factory originally started because I just bought and sold so many boards on Craigslist. I was like, I might as well make like an actual business out of this so that I can like use it and pay taxes on sales tax and, like have a write-offs on things that I lost. Because I was going, the first 2 years I had Froth Factory, I bought almost 30 boards one year and 26 the next. And it's all Craigslist and it's all flipping them. like, you know, you get a board, you ride it, you like it, or you don't like it, and you just move on to the next one.
Right.
Using the boards you get to make templates to then make them myself, that kind of stuff.
That's cool.
Do you repair the ones that you
Yeah,
you got?
because it's very similar. Repair is basically just a miniature version of making one
Okay.
as a whole, so that kind of falls into it. I did repairs for the shop I worked at when I was in college, but never really like did repairs. Just did them for like friends and myself. But eventually I was like, all right, I'm just gonna start making these. And then it was like, all right, I want to try this, and I want to try this. And I got to the point where I had a couple keepers, and then I have there's a board company I ride a bunch of boards of in California called Chemistry Surfboards.
Okay.
They're big in this area, but they're 2 guys from California. They're awesome. And those are like my performance boards
Yeah.
because I have a certain level of performance I want that I can't necessarily achieve myself just yet.
Yeah.
At least on the like race car type boards that I have. And so I just like kind of run out of space in the sense that I have like 25 now between my shed and my garage, and I've kind of covered all the bases.
Yeah.
So there's nothing else to kind of try at this point. And I'm to the point where I just like, the lady I work with has a young son. I just like give her boards at this point. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, you want a board? Here you go. Have fun.
Awesome.
I just have too many of these at this point.
Do you take clients out ever?
I try to. There's a couple of brokers that I work with that surf, which is nice. Like a full surf lesson is just hard because it takes time. It's really more the issue of having a wave to
The
surf.
conditions.
Yeah, you know, like we tried to get something going before the
Yeah.
tip meetings, and some days it's literally as flat as
Yeah.
a lake. You can't do anything with it. So, of course, this Thursday there could be a rideable bump, and we don't have one.
Yeah.
But
maybe we just
it'll come around.
in lieu of.
Oh, I'm doing I got golf with Robin's Egg Blue Bitch. And,
Oh, yeah.
Gaetano,
There
so
you go.
yeah,
There you go.
RB2, Robin's Blue Bitch.
Do you do any surf travel at all?
I do a ton. I just got back from Oregon like 2 weeks ago. That was a cool offbeat. I'm trying to go to like non-traditional places now,
Right.
and I've just fully embraced colder places.
Uh-huh.
I did Portugal earlier this year. I usually go on a trip or 2 a year, give or
That's
take.
cool.
It's gonna start slowing down now. I have a second kid due in August, and
Oh,
even
wow.
with Finn,
Congrats.
luckily I have a wife who's absolutely superstar and a great teammate and understands that I kind of want to do that, and just awesome all around. But with 2 kids, it's a lot harder for her to take care of both of them, or it's a
Right.
lot more of an ask.
Yeah.
And so there'll be a little down period until I can get Finn surfing, and then I'm like taking him on a surf trip. It's just really just an excuse for me to go, but yeah.
I gotta admit, I'm like my mind's racing for what you're gonna name the second kid. I'm like Skeg, nah,
Yeah.
leash,
Yeah, exactly.
nah.
Leash. Yeah.
Like, this is my daughter, Foil.
That's cool. So what do you do when you're not talking insurance, playing some golf and surfing?
I like to play guitar a lot. I'm not in like a band or anything. I was in high school, but I just like playing it. I'm a big music fan in general.
Right. What
Big
kind of music?
consumer. Really everything. Country and like mumble rap. I'm not a huge fan of just because I just
Mumble
can't
rap.
get into it.
All right.
And country, like pop country, it's just boring.
It's horrible.
Yeah, like
It's
there's
bad.
I was a big like non-country in general, and I think it was more so because I didn't like the tone of your stereotypical country voice.
Yeah.
But I'm big into like folk stuff, and even like a Zach Brown band. I really appreciate what he's got going on musically, because it's not like we're going to get drunk, this is gonna be great.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it's like regular pop music. Some of it gets good, but it gets boring.
Yeah.
I'm not a big lyrical person.
Yeah.
Like I know words to songs, but I've never looked into the actual comprehension of what they mean. It's more
Right.
so the way they fit in the melody of the song itself from a like melodic standpoint than the actual words. So a lot of the pop stuff is more lyrics driven, and I just never really get into it because of that.
I just saw Chris Stapleton last Friday.
Yeah.
So he's considered country,
Right.
but I mean it's rock.
Yeah,
It's,
he's
it's,
more
it's
like
a
rocky.
2-hour rock concert.
Sure.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. But yeah, I got a real eclectic mix of stuff.
Yeah.
You have
What
a
do you-
favorite guitarist?
Not really. I'm actually my one, like I would call it a guilty pleasure. I'm a huge John Mayer fan.
Right.
There for a long time, especially early John Mayer when he was more like Your Body Is in Wonderland John Mayer. I was like, oh, this dude is super lame. And then you start to like look at his ability
Yeah.
to play and some of the blues stuff he's done and everything.
Oh,
And then you're like,
phenomenal.
and now he's just social media wise, he's a really intelligent dude.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really hard to follow this up with that statement without sounding like a douche myself, but I feel like if I was a celebrity, I would be similar to him in the sense that he doesn't really take himself too seriously. There was a period where he did, because how could you not? He was like king of the world, dating celebrities, like thought he was the shit. Because in a certain sense, he was, and then kind of realized, all right, I'm kind of being a dick. I got to reel this in a little bit, and now he's just funny and he's got cool stuff going on. So that's like my one guitar guilty pleasure, and then like a lot of stereotypical guitar stuff. I'm a huge Radiohead fan. I love Wilco. A lot of that kind of stuff, but not any one player in particular.
Gotcha.
Yeah, John Mayer's great.
Yeah, he's the man.
His it's on YouTube. My sons love it actually. It's with BB King when they just
it just goes off.
Oh, they just go on.
He has a version of "Ain't No Sunshine."
I just from
Crossroads Guitar Festival, and it's him,
crap.
Steve Jordan, and Pino Palladino, which his blues trio. I actually didn't go last year when he came and played in this area on his Search for Everything tour, and I'm so mad at myself for not doing it because I'm a huge fan of the blues trio specifically because they're all amazing. But that version of that song is sick.
It's great. Yeah, I actually just stumbled upon it, the last couple weeks.
It's really frustrating because it's not really a good version of it on YouTube. There's all like pretty poor fidelity, like audio quality on it, but it's sick. It's so good.
Yeah.
Nice. Dennis, thank you for coming in.
Yeah,
we enjoyed
absolutely.
having you, talking some insurance, some surfing. Once again, check out Dennis O'Connor and Greenmount Insurance Consultants at protectthecheck.com. He's on Instagram at protect_the_check. And Froth Factory, get some boards.
Yeah.
Get your orders in on Instagram at Froth Factory.
I just followed both. You got to start posting more.
Yeah, no. So the original thought behind Froth Factory was, I was like, okay, I'm buying and selling. What I'm going to do is go to the shops nearby that have good like used boards so that they're out there, because Craigslist is such a mix of some really good stuff and some really bad stuff and some terrible pricing. And it didn't really take, and then I kind of just was like, nah, I'm not up on social media enough, because like everything that's on Froth Factory now is like boards I was trying to help shops move.
That's pretty good.
And then I hadn't even shaped my own stuff at that point.
Look at that little. Is that a Jeep?
That's a Cadillac Escalade that me and my wife came out in when they announced us at our wedding.
No
we
way,
both,
really?
it was awesome. It barely rolled because I alone was over the weight limit, and we were on like dance floor, so there was no friction at all for it to grab on. But yeah, I mean the board in it is a 510 to give you some scale on that one.
Yeah,
it's
that's awesome.
It's tiny, but we made it work.
Dude, awesome time.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dennis. Once again, I'm Evan
dude.
Balmer. I'm an attorney at the Balmer Law Group. You can catch me at balmerlawgroup.com and on Instagram at Evan Balmer.
You can find me at mortgageguy_Mike on Instagram. Dude, this was fun.
It's awesome.
I appreciate it.
Thanks,
Thank you.
guys.